promote more in the gathering for February 14th is two-spirited participation. Apparently there's two-spirited women's drum group, so they should be our official drummers. Yeah. And I know that they have a two-spirited organization. They have artists among them, so we want to have an open mic and feast following with two-spirited and transgendered people who are artists participating in that. We wanted a group of men to organize the feast.
We already got 2 over there.
Excellent.
And here, 3, there's one here.
We wanted to put pressure on some of the institutions in this country that have historically not been forthcoming with support and actually have some money, like the Ontario Federation of Labour and all the other labour organizations. I don't know who they all are.
The teachers.
The Teachers Federation, etc., etc. Some of the people volunteered to take care of some very specific kinds of things. We want an arts committee, which is made up of Lee Miracle, Faith Nolan and Celine Adams, Stephanie Machuita, and we wanted to hold a silent auction. We want to stay away from state funding.
Yes.
So now we've got to get creative without money. One of the things that, privileges that I have is that I do things for people and they give me art. I have tons of art and I'm an artist, so it just doesn't make any sense. I contribute lots of art, carvings and whatnot.
Wow.
We also want to pressure academia. 2 things. One is academics should be writing about this. Women of color academics, non-colored women. I don't know what you call like white women. And Native academics to put together a collection of essays around this issue, to study the issue. That's a long-term goal because you know academics are kind of smart. I know, I am too. Part of that whole crew. It takes them 57 meetings to make a decision. We want to have 2 activities at least to lead up to the February 14th. One would be an art show and poetry slam, and the other would be an art show and then a poetry slam and silent auction. And we have an outreach committee made up of, where are you? Here it is. Ah, here it is. That's the last thing on, that's the last long term, but where's the outreach committee? Anyway, we have the names here. I have the names here somewhere. We also want to do a documentary on the subject. I know there's been one, Highway of Tears and Finding Dawn, but this has been a movement of several decades now. So it might be a timely thing to start doing a documentary on the movement to get this resolved. The second thing is we want to have a public inquiry, pressure for a public inquiry and make it a focal point of the February 14th, a national public inquiry, February 14th gathering. The other thing that came up is that we want to, where is she? She's gone.
From New York.
From York.
She had babies.
Okay, she had babies, but she mentioned that groups come to the university and want speakers on women's issues. They always want an academic. So we want to implement a traditional recognition system in which those women who have been affected by violence are recognized as knowledge keepers of that issue. Those women who have community ties and are recognized by their community as leaders in their community, we want to have that. And of course, the other thing is academia, academic Aboriginal women who have been affected by violence. That would be me, for sure. I'm sure there's other Aboriginal women who are academics that have been affected by violence, but it's a traditional recognition system that she's talking about. So that when people come, and she's going to form a committee at York and pressure the university to vet the speakers through that committee, that women themselves determine who their representatives are. That's the way it's done.
That is good.
What's the other thing? We also want to challenge Native artists through ANCOVA to coincide the reading room presentation and open mic to go with the feast and the February 14th action. That's going to take maybe asking the president, go ahead, ask me. Secret lines. I think that's all that we have, except she handed me something. What was it? Oh yes, save space. Part of the problem is that the state-funded organizations that are, so-called Aboriginal organizations are structured to fail. And there's nothing, I can do about that from inside. But we should pressure them to do their job appropriately and deal with the men who are violent in a resolving way. And we want to create a place for women who have been Aboriginal women who have been affected by violence, a summer festival based on the old model, which is a powwow model, where from after sunrise ceremony, all these discussions and testimonials happen, and then in the afternoon, there's singing and dancing and celebration and eating and whatnot. And there's a land-based. Doreen Silversmith is the person that we'll be contacting to have that celebration. I suggested it take place in the summer so that we won't be cold, that's one. It's far enough away so we can actually fund the thing. And it's out on the land. The children can be there. It can be an amazing, both healing and celebratory event. That's it. It's called Honor the Women Who Have Been Affected by Violence. We need to honor the women who have been affected by violence.
Okay. We began from the place of suggesting that the national level is really kind of a lost cause, and we're mostly in agreement, although from our different positions within the Canadian system, obviously there are different avenues for working on this issue. We talked really about the international level and the variety of connections that can be made at that level. People talked about mining companies, oil companies, resource exploitation, and the need to make connections with people who are doing this work outside of Canada and at the international level and in other countries. A lot of people really spoke about their commitment to working within their own communities and wanting resources for how that could work. There was a vision for the listserv or maybe some other form of social media or interactive media to provide resources to do work, to speak within communities, to circulate information about events, but also about just the scope of the genocidal practices that we're trying to work on. There was a lot of discussion about complicity and how stratified the Canadian, population is. So people talked about immigration and recognizing that is, part of people's exploitation within the Canadian system, but also a position of complicity at times. And for all of us really to think about, if we are wanting to work to dismantle this system of privilege, that we have to think about on a personal level also how much privilege we're ready to give up and how we talk to our communities about that.